My wife texted me 4 words that froze my entire world, and I had no idea those words were just the beginning of the betrayal.
The chat pinged just as I was locking up the bookstore for the night. It was Mia, my wife, sending me a message that simply read, "We need to talk tonight." 4 little words, but they felt cold enough to freeze my lungs. She rarely messaged me at work, and when she did, it was usually a silly meme or a picture of our dog looking goofy. This was different. This felt heavy. I quickly typed back, "Is everything okay?" But my message was left unseen. The little blue ticks just stared back at me, a silent, ominous confirmation that no, everything was not okay. The 10-minute drive home stretched into an eternity. Every red light felt like a personal insult, holding me back from whatever was waiting for me. I felt like I was walking toward a storm, one that I couldn't see but could feel crackling in the air around me. When I finally stepped inside, the house smelled strange, like burnt toast and stress. Mia was pacing back and forth in the living room, her phone gripped in her hand like it was her last breath. She didn't look up when I said hello. That was the first bad sign. The second, even worse, was her whispered, "Liam, sit down." My heart dropped into my stomach. I sat on the edge of the couch, bracing myself for impact. She finally stopped pacing and met my eyes. They were red and puffy. "I made a mistake," she said, her voice trembling. And then it all came out. The mistake wasn't a one-time thing. It had been happening for nearly 5 months. My throat tightened as she confessed she'd been seeing someone else. She kept repeating that she never meant to hurt me, as if the intention somehow softened the blow. It didn't. I had to ask. The word felt like sandpaper in my mouth. "Who?" She hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything I needed to know before she even spoke his name. It was my friend. My supposed best friend, Caleb. Hearing his name felt like someone had driven a nail straight through my spine. I couldn't process it. My wife and my best friend? It was the oldest, cruelest cliché, and it was happening to me. I managed to choke out one more question. Why? She said she felt lonely, unseen. That she was stupidly drawn to the attention he gave her. Each word was a fresh cut. I didn't yell. I didn't scream, though my insides were burning hotter than any fire I'd ever known. I just stood up and said, "I need some air." I had to get out before the walls of my own home crushed me. Outside, a light snow had begun to fall, blanketing the street in a deceptive layer of peace and silence. It was a stark contrast to the war raging inside my head. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was him, Caleb. He was begging me to talk, claiming it just happened. The audacity of that message was staggering. I blocked his number without a second thought. I didn't have the energy to listen to his pathetic excuses. I just stood there in the cold until my fingers went numb, trying to breathe, trying to understand how my life had shattered so completely in the span of 10 minutes. Eventually, the cold drove me back inside. The house no longer felt like mine. It felt like a crime scene. Mia tried to explain again, to offer more details, but her words sounded like static. I couldn't hear them over the ringing in my ears. I asked her where they met, how it started. She admitted it began when they were helping plan my surprise birthday party last year. The irony was so bitter it made me sick. My own celebration had become the spark for my deepest humiliation. I told her I needed the truth, the whole truth, no sugarcoating. I deserved that much. So, trembling, she started reading their old messages from her phone out loud. Every flirtatious text, every secret plan, every ugly detail, it was torture. I listened not because I wanted to, but because betrayal demands clarity. You have to see the full extent of the damage before you can even think about what comes next. When she finally finished, she broke down completely, sobbing into her palms. She said she wanted to fix things, that she'd do anything to earn my forgiveness. But forgiveness was the furthest thing from my mind. That night, I slept on the living room couch, staring at the ceiling and replaying every moment, wondering where our marriage had collapsed. In the morning, the house was silent and cold. I packed a small bag. When she saw me, she started crying again. "I'm staying at my brother's for a few days," I told her, my voice flat. I didn't comfort her. I couldn't. My phone was a minefield of unread messages from Caleb, each one more desperate than the last. I ignored them all. Pulling up to my brother's place was a relief. He took one look at my face, didn't ask any questions, and just handed me a hot cup of coffee. He let me exist in my own bubble of misery, and I was grateful for the silence. Later that day, Mia sent a long message, another apology, saying she'd blocked Caleb and had already scheduled a therapy appointment for herself. I read it, but I didn't promise her anything in return. That night, another message popped up. This time it was from Caleb's girlfriend Emma. She'd found out. She wanted to know if it was true. I thought about it for a second, then I told her everything. All of it. She thanked me with a heartbreaking calmness. She said she was ending things with Caleb immediately. It was strange, feeling this sudden connection to a stranger. We were like two soldiers who had found each other on the same battlefield, both wounded by the same friendly fire. The next morning, Mia asked if we could meet. I agreed, but only in public. We met at a small cafe that smelled of cinnamon and regret. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in days. She repeated that she didn't want to lose me, that she would cut every tie and do whatever it took to make things right. I looked at her and said, repairing trust isn't like fixing a broken chair, Mia. It's like rebuilding a house that burned to the ground with both of us trapped inside. She flinched. Then she asked the question I'd been dreading. Do you hate me? I was honest. I don't know what I feel anymore, but I knew I wasn't ready to throw away our entire history just yet, not without a fight. I told her we could try therapy together, but only on the condition of absolute brutal transparency. She agreed instantly, nodding like someone clinging to a lifeline. The days that followed turned into weeks, then months. Our conversations shifted from painful accusations to raw honesty. Some sessions gutted me, leaving me feeling hollowed out and empty. But other moments, small glimmers in the darkness, reminded me why I married her in the first place. Caleb, I heard, moved out of town after Emma kicked him out and the story got around our friend group. Mia deleted every trace of him from her life and threw herself into her work and our therapy with a ferocity I'd never seen before. A small part of me, the part that wasn't shattered, respected the effort, even if my heart still felt like a roadmap of scars. Slowly, painfully, we started to rebuild. It wasn't the same house we had before. It was something new, built on a foundation of difficult truths. The wound didn't vanish, but it scarred over and it stopped bleeding. One evening, months later, we were sitting in the living room, reading in silence, when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Mia, sent from across the room. It just said, "Thank you for giving me another chance." I looked up from my phone and really looked at her. I saw the remorse, the effort, the change. I realized the storm had finally passed. We weren't the same people we were a year ago, but maybe that wasn't a bad thing. I typed back a simple reply. Just dawned to give me a reason to regret it. She met my eyes and nodded silently, understanding every unspoken word between the lines. And for the first time in a very long time, the house felt like a home again. Not perfect, not painless, but ours. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more content. See you in the next one.